You've tuned into InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, a video podcast series. Our episode starts right now. Here's your host, Dominique Vale.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, where you can check in for your dose of stigma-breaking, humor-filling, motivation-loving life hacks, and empowering tips for all of the medically adultish people in your life. I'm Dominique Vale, founder of InvisiYouth, and your host for InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, and today we are on Season 7, Episode 105, and this is going to be such a fun podcast episode because I am bringing on a special guest who has all of the fun and awareness online and has been a major supporter of the InvisiYouth community for so many years, so I'm happy to finally take the relationship off of Instagram. I'm thrilled. It is the founder of Sugardrop SWEETWEAR company, type 1 diabetes advocate, and digital creator Kate Beaulieu. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2017 when she was 11, living in Ottawa, Canada, Kate immediately began not only learning about how to have life with type 1 diabetes, but also to raise awareness and funds for the type 1 diabetes community that she is now part of. She's held fundraisers in her garage for selling apparel that she now has designed herself. And that apparel has become popular because within 3 months of her starting Sugardrop SWEETWEAR, we now are having a small business that she has named called Sugardrop SWEETWEAR to specifically raise awareness on the early signs of type 1 diabetes. Kate knew that so many people don't know a lot about type 1 diabetes, and it has really become her mission to encourage others to know about those early signs so they can be empowered themselves with the same journey. Sugardrop SWEETWEAR has expanded to selling bracelets, t-shirts, and their famous hoodies, which when we pan over to Kate, you will see her rocking. And they deliver worldwide and have such a large social media presence with over 22,000 TikTok followers, guys. It has been a passion project that has also really infused into Kate's career goals as well. She is now a university student at Toronto Metropolitan University studying professional communication, which Kate hopes to really get to work within the diabetes community for companies in communications, sales, and marketing. So really taking that passion and moving it forward into a career. So we are so excited that we are going to have Kate on the show raising awareness with us and creating some positive change. And I'm thrilled that she is now one of our guests on our guest list. So Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat today and share more of my story with your viewers.
Yes, it will be so much fun. You guys will know why I always end up, when we message with Kate, I always end up jumping on our Instagram and DMing back and forth with her as well. It is so much fun. So you guys are going to have an absolute blast. And before we get into our first segment, I like to always remind you to click that subscribe button while you are here. You've got about 55 minutes to make that decision. So I will remind you again later on in the show. Definitely helps us out if you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching, or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you are listening. So make sure to do that as well while you are here today. And we're going to go into our first segment. We are doing Rapid Fire Roundup.
Rapid Fire Round.
You know, I love a quirky roundup segment where we get to go and rapid fire randomly answer and ask questions of our special guests to learn some funny and kind of quirky, insightful things about them. So I am going to be rapid firing some questions at Kate. Kate, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. Okay, your go-to coffee order or drink order?
Ooh, I don't drink coffee, but I always get a matcha, and my favorite is with like the strawberry matcha.
Ooh, I've never had a strawberry matcha. That sounds cool.
Very good.
I like that. What is your favorite season of the weather?
Ooh, spring, because I love when all the flowers are blooming.
Oh, I love that. That's such a nice answer. I love that. If you could jump onto any television show or film in real life and like become a character among them, which show would you want to be in?
Ooh, that's such a challenging question. I feel like I don't watch that many shows, but my favorite growing up was Friends, and I love their dynamic. I want to be a part of their friend group. So
I love that. That's a pick a classic. I do. I appreciate that. I like that a lot. What is the most used utensil you have, or if you had to pick a favorite utensil, what would it be?
I don't know if it counts as a utensil, but like my insulin pump.
Oh, well, you got to use it while you are eating. So, you know, that's fine. That works for me. I like it. If you could have a different accent, what accent would you pick?
Ooh, probably British. They sound so smart and sophisticated. Like, I trust what they're saying.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. If you were studying abroad and in your future, where would you want to study?
Ooh, I would love to do my master's in Scotland. That's like a dream of mine.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like considering it. That's
we're putting it into the universe now, Kate.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. And what is, if you had a celebrity roommate in your house right now, who would you want living with you?
Well, my favorite celebrity is Ariana Grande. So I would pick her. She's just so sweet. And I think we'd have fun.
I like that. Do you have a favorite childhood toy or present that you ever received?
Ooh. Well, when I was little, I had this blanket. I don't think my mom gave it to me, and that was with me wherever I went. I guess it's not really a toy, but that was just like my favorite thing on the planet. So
yeah, I agree. I had a baby pillow, so I can relate to you on that one. Yes. What is the one thing you are looking forward to doing as you get older? Like that you want to be able to have a new skill or a new hobby that you're like, if I have more time, I'd love to be able doing this.
I love painting and drawing. I feel like I would want to do more painting, and even like I've a dream of mine to have like a little painting studio in my house.
Oh, nice.
Just to like really paint more. Just now I don't have the funds to support a whole painting, but I do love painting.
So, I like that. That's a good answer, and explains why you've also designed part of your own with Sugardrop as well. That art would be in there.
Anything creative, and I feel like that's where I've gotten into loving graphic design. Yeah.
I love that a lot. That's a good answer. What is an adjective in your vocabulary that you use a lot?
I say awesome a lot. And I feel like that's not like, that's so, I feel like a little teenager when I say it, but I love the word awesome.
It's fun. I usually say overjoyed. I'm always overjoyed when I'm describing how I feel about something. So I can relate to you on that one. Do you have an emoji that you tend to always use when you text?
Yes. I love the one, it's like, it just has its tongue out. And it's I'm not gonna...
You're like, I'm not gonna reenact it for you.
No, but I don't know. I love that emoji. I think it's so silly. And I just will add it when I say literally anything. It's overused for me.
Yeah. I have the smiley face with the little hands out. That's always me. That's my go-to. Mm-hmm. So I get that for sure. If you had to describe your advocacy or your digital content you make with 3 words, what would you pick?
Ooh, I would pick real, creative, and random.
I like that. That's a good trio. I like that trio. And then, is there a type 1 diabetes athlete or celebrity that if you could collaborate with, like if they were going to do a collab with Sugardrop, who would it be?
Ooh. Okay, I kind of have 2, and I want to say both because they're very different. I've always, like, my dream is to meet Nick Jonas and have him wear a Sugardrop sweater. Like, that has been a really big one for me. But I also recently, in the last few years, Lilia Moss and how she goes on the runway with her like Libre. I just think she's so cool, and I love that she does that, and she doesn't like, it's just there when and like so many celebrities, like recently she did a runway and like Kylie Jenner was there, and I don't know, I just was like, I don't know, I think she's so cool, and she's also just such a beautiful model, and I'd love to meet her.
Oh my god, no, I love those 2 answers, and they both would know how to model a sweatshirt, so you know, perfect timing.
I would just give it to them. Like, I don't care if you even just take it.
Yeah, just like in your house. I don't care. I love it so much. That's a great ending to that rapid fire segment. I love that so much. And something else, if people were going to be wearing some Sugardrop sweatshirts, I would, put in the universe. We'd have some people on our list that we would love to wear our subtle activist color block bracelets as well. You guys see them behind me. They are on my wrist as well. They are exclusively on our Etsy store, and they are for $4 with free global shipping, and 100% of every sale goes directly towards funding all of our free resources and programs all year long for teens and young adults living with all types of chronic illness and disability, so they can have tools for that personal development in the non-medical aspects of life with chronic illness or disability. So we are a nonprofit that loves subtle activism. We say it is that Starbucks cup in the Game of Thrones scene that we wasn't supposed to be there but sparked a lot of conversation. That's how we like to do our advocacy. So if you would love to get a subtle activist color block bracelet for yourself or for someone you care about, it's basically getting a gift while making a donation. So it's a win-win. We have our Etsy store linked on the screen, you'll see, and in the description and show notes. So if you are able to stop by and make a purchase, we thoroughly appreciate it. It helps us out so much. And we're going to go into something else that's fun. One of our OG segments, we're going to Life Tinder Challenge.
Life Tinder Challenge. Swipe right.
Like I mentioned, Life Tinder Challenge is a new take on an OG segment, which brings all the fun and digital space together. We are going to be talking about things that I would be swiping right on, which is all of Katie's Instagram and TikTok content. So we are wanting to make sure all of the things that we would love to learn all about Kate's digital content that she does, her activism, and how she's chosen to raise awareness in the digital space. And also, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll see me popping up some lovely screen grabs of Kate's TikTok content as well. So the first topic I always wanted to touch on is sort of your influencer with type 1 diabetes flair, kind of the daily activity things that you share all the time, because I know so much of your social media content focuses on things of like going to university and how your friends help you with your Dexcom, or tutorials of how you use things with type 1 diabetes. So for you, why is kind of sharing the how-tos important, or like doing tutorials as a way of raising awareness important for you?
Yeah, totally. I think originally when I started Sugardrop, it was a lot of raising awareness of the early signs of type 1 and and helping people get their diagnosis, and having people be a lot more aware of what type 1 was. And like you said earlier, I had no clue what type 1 was when I was diagnosed. So then when I started focusing a lot more on content creation, I thought I wanted to take it in a different realm of what my company was fully sharing, and sharing my life with type 1, and not only helping type 1 diabetics that way, but really educating non-diabetics on what it really looks like to live with type 1. The how-to videos are my favorite on how I change my insulin pump or my Dexcom, because I get so many comments from non-diabetics just about it, and that they're really learning more, because you'll see diabetics in day-to-day wearing these medical devices, and a lot of people have no clue what they are. And I love how my videos kind of teach people what those look like and what they do and how they help keep us alive every day. And they're really amazing technology. I really love sharing my friends helping me with my type 1 and supporting my type 1. That's a really big one to me, because I find it helps diabetics maybe reach out to their friends and be like, hey, like, support like this would be really amazing. Because I feel like in my experience, a lot of non-diabetics that are coming into my life like might not know how to support me, and it's a bit of I wouldn't say awkward, but a bit nervous to ask kind of how you can help out. Since it's a medical condition, you might not want to say the wrong thing or it kind of come off wrong. So
Yeah.
I find kind of sharing how my friends support me kind of just shows non-diabetics how they can support their friends, which is really great, because that has really helped me in my type 1 journey. Having my close friends and family really help me out. It's a really wonderful thing. So I love how my videos can educate people, but also give support to diabetics. And every diabetic their journey looks different and how they manage type 1. And I've learned from so many diabetics online, like, oh, that, that could really work in my life, or, oh, I never thought of, managing it that way, but that's totally a skill that I'd love to learn and do. So I feel like that's really what drives all of my content.
Yeah, I love that because, like you said too, it's a lot about sort of taking out the level of ignorance that a lot of people just have because they just don't know and they don't want to ask the questions. So you kind of leading that conversation in a very easy way where people don't feel that they're uncomfortable asking the questions, or they can just sort of silently watch or kind of subtly learn from you or through you. I think, like you said, for both ends of the spectrum is probably really helpful because it allows them to see it and understand it, and then they have a different level of awareness the next time they would see somebody who has diabetes, or if someone then they come into their lives also becomes a diabetic as well, because it kind of even goes into the next sort of topic of things that you post about a lot, which is sort of staying in that quote unquote influence kind of realm of things, but giving it that awareness flair to it, because so many of your really popular videos have been you kind of taking normal TikTok trends of like what's in my bag, or like a day in the life of me on campus, and but be like type 1 diabetic in addition to it. And a lot of times I'll read the comments and you have such like a split audience where it's a lot of people who are type 1 diabetics and then people who aren't, and they have both such a positive reaction to it. But for you, how has it been for you kind of teaching people who don't understand, and then also the people who are in your community kind of like finding the fun because you're marrying both communities together in kind of that content?
I think when I go and I see a trend or a video that I really want to create, and whether it's type 1 inspired or not, and being able to kind of put a spin on it in my life kind of really drives my passion behind creating content. Sometimes I'll see a video and I'm just like, that would be really cool to kind of just put a type 1 diabetic spin on it. And I think that's what has really gained my audience of non-diabetics, kind of taking these TikTok trends that are all over people's For You page, but then it has something to do with type 1. It'll kind of reach a different audience, but still keeping me in the type 1 community, which is really amazing. I feel like whenever I'm making videos, then I'm thinking type 1 diabetics will be watching, but also non-diabetics. So I try and keep it still educational so they're still learning, because, people will watch my videos and not 100% know what I'm talking about. And I think that's why I love when non-diabetics will put comments and then I'll respond to clarify and educate, which is really amazing. And I think that's what's so great to me with social media, is that someone can just easily comment on a video like what does she mean by that, or sometimes even I'll post a video and I might not directly say type 1 in it, like I could be talking about living with a chronic condition, and non-diabetics will comment their story and maybe they don't have type 1 at all, they have a different chronic condition, and that's also really special to me. It's really given me the space to share my life with diabetes and not worry that non-diabetics are gonna judge me or think, what is this content she's posting? This is weird. I've had such a positive reaction from the content I create, and I think it's because I've taken these fun, silly trends off of TikTok and just made them type 1 related in a way to educate.
Yeah, because it is, like you said, it's building that gap in an easy way and a subtle way. Like we said, everything we love is subtle activism, that you are kind of subtly nodding to it, but then also bringing that in. And like you said, even on my end, there's so many things that you could post that even with me having different chronic illnesses that I can just easily relate to how you're talking and with your friends, or how they're being supportive, or how you manage, like, oh, if you're having a bad day, how do you manage going about campus or schoolwork, that it was so reminding of me being at that point, being in university and what I was going through and having such a different health issue as well. But like you said, kind of finding that the bridging gap first and then putting your kind of specifics under it, I think is really nice for people to kind of get both and then still feel like it's relatable to them through the whole process as well of getting to enjoy what you're posting. Yeah. And even kind of going off of that too, the last kind of thing that I thought was a fun topic that you do that I really enjoy is that you post sort of the full picture of life with chronic illness, that so many people feel if they post sort of happy, upbeat kind of educational content, that's all they have to post. Or if they're posting more serious or monotone content, that's all they have to post. But you have done a nice job of always kind of showing both sides of when you're having bad days with your diabetes or how it is navigating your relationships with it as well. You kind of share both of those sides. So for you, how have you chosen sharing the good days and the bad days, and how you navigate knowing like, oh, this is a topic I would really want to share about, or I wonder if other people are also feeling this way?
Yeah, definitely. In high school, I was more hesitant to share those negative parts of living with type 1. I didn't want, since I was trying to stay very positive about living with a chronic condition and wanting to help other type 1 diabetics feel confident and positive about their medical condition, I was hesitant to share that part of my life. But through looking at other people's content and the type 1 community online, I felt so connected when other diabetics would share like a tough day, or, this is how I got through this hard moment, and I'd learn and I'd feel so inspired that this is the reality. Even though it's manageable, not every day is going to be perfect. No day is perfect, but some days are good and some days are bad, and that's with anyone's life. So when I started sharing, even like yesterday, I did a post sharing like my Dexcom graph, like all my blood sugars were crazy and did not help with my school, and it really impacted my day. But when I went and shared that, and I had some of my friends message me, like my day was the same, and this made me feel better at the end of the day that I'm not dealing with this alone. And some days, if I'm having a bad day, I'm not necessarily gonna post online, but sometimes, I have a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna share this because it's real and raw. And when people then reach out and we talk about it, it not only helps me, but that connection's really important. And I've had so much amazing feedback that a post sharing my awful day, just made them feel not alone, and that it's okay to have those days and it's a part of life, and that we always can get through it, and that the type 1 community is there to support you. And it's really built for even me, like my mental health around my diabetes management, that some days are going to be better than others, and vice versa. And that's a part of managing a condition every day. And like I've said about other things, that other people living with chronic conditions, even just mental health, sharing those not so great parts of it, it's just real. And I love how social media has kind of grown into that more and embraced imperfectionism. Like when I first joined the type 1 community online and seeing everyone's like perfect blood sugars, I was like, oh my God, I need to fix myself. Like, what is going on? Like, but that's not the reality of living with a condition. And through that, you learn so many tips and different ways to manage days like that through people just sharing their real authentic life living with the condition.
Yeah, and I love how you phrased that too, that it's sort of the uniqueness of that you feel with your, because everybody's body responds to their diagnosis differently, but the uniqueness you feel of this being a bad day for you, or I'm going through a slump, it makes it feel like the struggle feels even worse because you're just sort of keeping it all to yourself, but then realizing that other people are sharing about it, or like you said, kind of that release for you of, I'm not just going to share about my bad day so I can do it, that you're like, I'm actually going to, in a way, it's that release is a positive experience for you because it's now kind of off your chest, and sharing it with others, I think is a nice way for people to realize, even on social media, but off of it, kind of actually answering the question correctly. If a friend of yours says, "You having a good day today?" and most people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." But if you actually answer the question, it's nice to then be able to kind of get that off of yourself and then allow your friends or family to like have that dialogue with you, because now they know how that is. Because I can even imagine, especially with diabetes, it's such a well-known chronic condition to have, but so many people only see it in the, oh, it's such a functional chronic condition to have, and nobody thinks of what those bad days look like, because people just see it so publicly as like, here's my Dexcom, I'm ready to go, and let's rock. And it's like, well, that's not how most of them feel all the time as well.
Yeah, I've definitely wanted to raise awareness more of what it really looks like living with type 1, and that, yes, type 1 is a manageable condition, and that's how you navigate after your diagnosis, but there still is so much physical and mental exhaustion that comes with it. And having like non-diabetics understand that, and especially if you know someone with type 1 and care for them, learning how to support them through those tough days is really important.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's such a good point. And it's even a nice point to end that segment on, because I think that's something a lot of people can learn from with their friends as well, to be supportive in all of those good and bad moments. And I love that. And even going off of that, you guys know, hold on, everybody, we're getting to everyone's favorite segment soon. Don't you worry. But before we do that, I always like to thank everyone who is listening and watching InvisiYouth chat sessions. Like I mentioned at the top, it's our first digital resource that InvisiYouth started all those years ago. We now have 4 other digital resources that come out for free every single month for teens and young adults living with chronic illness and disability in the over 14 countries that we now have downloading our resources every month. So it's been super important that we have people like yourselves subscribing and donating to our nonprofit, because 100% of every donation goes directly back into all of our digital resources and programs that come out every single month. And if you sign up for the Galaxy Hub by InvisiYouth, it's our free newsletter. You get all of our resources packaged in one place for you every month as well. So it's super important when we get those donations, because they directly go towards us being able to provide these resources and be able to create that positive change for so many young people living with a chronic illness or disability, so they can have their own tools independently to find ways to adapt and thrive with their own chronic illness or disability as they are growing. So it's super important for us. We have our donate link. It's been on the screen as I've been chatting. It's in our description and show notes. And if you're able to donate, or if someone you know or care about can donate on your behalf, every single cent really does make such a big difference for us. So we're super appreciative of that so much. And now we're going to go into everyone's favorite segment. It's So That One Time.
So that one time.
You guys know I love So That One Time, mainly because I, as the host, get to take a break and drink my coffee while my guests tell us a life story. So you all get to have a break and get to listen to Kate share a life story. Kate, the mic and the floor are yours.
Awesome. So I've been thinking about this question since Dominic shared it with me, and I was like, I feel like there's so many things I wanted to touch on, but I kept going back to the same story of the impact that has been created on me attending the Children with Diabetes Friends for Life conference in Orlando. And the main thing that has impacted me so much from that conference is the friends and connections I've made. So I just wanted to share, like, I guess my whole story with how that's impacted my life with type 1. My second year of having diabetes, I found out about the conference just online through the diabetes community and that it's a great way to meet other people with diabetes. And my mom was like, we should totally go. Like, my grandparents live in Florida, so they're like, let's go. We could see them and then attend this conference. And I was like, sure. Like, that's terrifying to go and just be, you know, I go to this place where I don't know anyone. Like,
Yeah.
and I was a more shy kid, so I was like, okay, like, but I did really want to meet other people with type 1, and I found out that there were so many companies there, and especially like having my own company at that time, I was like, you know, this would be a great way to also share my story and what I'm doing. So then my mom and I signed up for the conference. We went in 2018 was the first year I went, and I don't even know how it happened, but I met a group of people in the teen program. Like, that's at the time, because of my age, I went into the teen program, and they had these awesome sessions with kids and a whole bunch of kids just with type 1. Like, being in a room with like 200 or 300 kids like with type 1 or like siblings of type 1s was crazy. And then I remember the rest of the week just hanging out with a bunch of these kids that had type 1 was so cool. And I kept going year after year, and I'm still friends with all of them. And they all live in the States, and it's so cool. And then as the years went by, the next year, my mom and I actually got to do a table for Sugardrop in their exhibit hall, which has like all these different companies and the sponsors, which is like, it's so, so cool. And so we got to do a table, which was really cool because I got to just share my story and connect with so many kids and families with type 1. And through that, I got to collaborate with some other companies there that I got to meet. Through there, I even met the company Diabetes Link, which now is the company that funds and supports the club that I have at my university for type 1 diabetics, which is the Diabetes Link TMU, which was really cool. And then even like last month, my friend group has about, I don't know, 16 people now, and we all met up in Rhode Island, USA for New Year's Eve, and we did like a couple of days together at our friend's beach house, which was, when we always joke, like when we're together, we don't even really talk about type 1 like that much, but it's the fact that, like, you know, if an insulin pump goes off, like, we're like, oh, who is it? And we're just like, and then you just feel so comfortable. And we all say, like, it's a week where we know that everyone just gets it. We never have to explain ourselves. Like, if we're randomly taking out candy at 8 a.m. because we have a low, like, no one's like, what are you doing? Like, it's so, everything's so normal and normalized in our friend group. And even though we kind of see each other just once a year, like, we have our group chat on Snapchat, and we text each other, and we'll randomly share things about type 1 if we want help. And it's really great. And we do like FaceTime calls, and it's just really created this group like of my age that we're really close with, where we all just get it. And it's so like so much support. And she's one of my best friends. She's in our group. Her name's Avery, and she lives in New Jersey. She's just amazing. I was talking with you like earlier before our call. Like, I love having such a close friend that lives with it every day, and we talk all the time, and we hate that we live in different countries, but it really is like, I think the bond of having this shared thing, like both having type 1, it's really created this amazing friendship. And it's so cheesy that the conference is called Friends for Life, because I can't see myself not being friends with these people. And it truly is that, since we all have this condition, like, we just have this bond that just happens. And we all joke that even when we go to any type 1 event, you easily connect with people, and you can so easily talk about having this condition, and it feels so normal. And I feel like anyone living with a chronic illness or disability, like, finding community and going to events and even getting access to resources like InvisiYouth, it's so important in your journey living with it. And being able to connect with people in my life has been so special. And I think that's my favorite thing that has come out of having Sugardrop is the connections I've made. And obviously the opportunities are so amazing, but the people is really the biggest thing. And I'm so grateful for everyone that I've met through it. And this is like, I totally am like talking about this conference like, you know,
I love it though.
It is amazing. It really is. And I feel like we all joke, even if we don't attend the conference in the future, like we're like, we need to get together every year to like hang out. And it's really special. So
I love that. I love that a lot. And shout out to you, New Jersey and friend, as a fellow New Jerseyan. So my home state, my people.
Yes.
I love that a lot. It is, like you said, it's a great thing of finding a way of finding community beyond just what's around you and your own friend group, and finding a friend group that also can, like you said, just it's very natural when things are going on or popping up that you all just kind of know and can jump in, and it's very symbiotic. Nobody kind of has questions or anything. You all just kind of can understand, and it's very kind of no words need to be said. So I can relate, and I love that you have found that through that conference. That's really fun. And obviously getting to do it in the Sunshine State of Florida, it doesn't hurt, So I love that a lot. That was a good story. That was such a good pick-me-up story to go into our final segment. I love that. And we're doing our final segment with Kate. We're doing Teeniatric's Way of Life.
Teeniatric Way of Life.
We know being a teen or young adult living with a chronic illness or disability can be challenging. That's why we trademarked the term teeniatrics. So it is a time when you are growing up and developing who you are as a person, and also managing life with your health struggles. So we wanted to have a segment with Kate talking about how to build that confidence with yourself, with your friends and support networks, and that digital footprint you're all creating. So I know, like you had mentioned, and I mentioned at the top of the show, I've known you through Sugardrop and InvisiYouth for years. So obviously we know firsthand what digital content and connections can do for one another. So for you, being a young person kind of really utilizing different social media platforms, how have you kind of been advised, or what would you say to other young people of being cognizant of the digital footprint you're leaving, but also still wanting to use online platforms and raise awareness, or just be young and have fun? Like, how have you kind of managed thinking in the long term of doing things?
Yeah. I definitely think thinking about what is true to you. I think over the years that has changed for me. Definitely when I first started sharing my life online, it was very positive and very educational. And then that's kind of grown into being raw and the real reality of what my life looks like with type 1. I think you really want to think about what you're passionate about, and if that is, and if you want to share that in a digital space. I feel like there's so many different ways you can go about sharing your life. You don't necessarily need to do it in words. It can be negative or positive. I really think I can look back on what I've done even now and just think that I know that it all was really driven by what I care about and what matters to me. And I feel like if you think that way, all of your digital footprint, you can feel good about it. And also through that, I have had like negative responses or different things that just maybe not have made me feel so great. But I try and focus on that what I'm doing feels true to me, and that I'm getting so much more love and positivity from my audience. And if people don't like what I share, that's their opinion, but I know that it's true to me, and that I do feel good about what I post, and you should feel that way. If it doesn't feel good, then, maybe reiterate and think about what really matters to you. And I think having my mom growing up, like I first started running an Instagram for Sugardrop at 12 was, I obviously had my mom helping me because I can't, having that access to social media. So
Yeah.
as I grew up, really now, like, I think I can't remember the last time my mom was like, oh, don't post this or you should post that. But definitely when I was younger, I had a lot of support and help from my mom on how I should share Sugardrop online. And especially now that I've gotten older and having my own voice as a young adult, I've been able to just share my life. And some days I'm like, should I post this or should I not post this? Or does this feel, and normally when I have those moments of like, I don't know, I just won't, because I'm telling, it's a gut feeling for me of like, I don't, maybe this isn't what I want to share, but I always know that what I have shared is what I like, and that I just hope to continue doing that.
Yeah, and I like how you said too, not only just kind of staying true to yourself, but then if you have that wavering feeling, that you listen to it and don't just be like, oh, well, I spent all this time making it, or I think it would do well or anything. Because like you said, it has to be something that in the long run, you would still feel comfortable and confident with being online. And I think, like you said, having your mom be a part of sort of your introduction to the online platform, it kind of was able to steer you in a good way of going, would this be something, if I'm in my 20s and 30s and I'm now working, would I still want people to be able to find these videos? Or how would I feel if I didn't want to do as much public facing activism? Would I still be comfortable with what I had shared then? Like you said, if you're really being authentic to what you want and you feel full confidence in it, and feel confident that as I get older, I'm still going to be comfortable. None of this was like pushing an envelope for me, or I was on the fence about doing it. That level of ease that you probably feel with what you choose to share would then carry on well if you even totally left this space and were doing something else, that you'd be like, I'm still totally comfortable with everything that I was sharing and posting at that stage. And I think knowing that, feeling, like you said, that true to yourself and that confidence when you post is probably a good way of then feeling comfortable in the type of digital footprint you leave, even if you might navigate or move in different directions as well.
And I feel like even I've had moments when I grew into working with other companies and partners, making sure that, I wasn't just doing it for the collaboration, that this is really something that I want to share with my audience because I connect with it, or I think my audience would benefit from it. So I've had moments where a company has reached out to me and I just didn't feel like if I shared this, is this really something I connect with? And I don't want to be not honest and real with what I share online. I don't want to look back in 5 years and be like, why did I do that? Like, that was, not real of me. So yeah, I'm really just always thinking, do I feel 100% good about this?
Yeah, I like that a lot. That is really good. I like that. And even kind of going off of that, I wanted to ask too, when it comes to, I know, like you had said, so many of your friends are involved on your social media, you'll share posts with them, or even just like in your daily life as well, your friends and family, and bringing your kind of support network, bringing other young people into that part of your life with a chronic condition can be challenging for people to feel like, how do I make them comfortable? And they're putting so much emphasis on making everyone else comfortable, sometimes at your own detriment, or vice versa. They're trying to make you so comfortable, and then there's not a lot of conversation on what actually is helpful. So what would be your advice to other young people of things that have worked for you as you've navigated, like you said, going through your teens and now going into your 20s as well, of how to kind of make your friends feel that there can be that open communication when they're curious about your diabetes.
Yeah, of course. I feel like when I was in middle school, that's when I started Sugardrop, and when a lot of more people were finding out that I had type 1 diabetes. I feel like in elementary school was when I was diagnosed, and I was sick for, like, I was out of school for about 2 months and then came back with, a chronic condition. My classmates were like, this is like strange, like what's going on with Kate? And I was very reluctant to kind of share. And then I had started Sugardrop, transitioning from elementary to middle school. And then for me, obviously having a company and being, advocating through that, it had a lot of people know that I had type 1 diabetes. And like, I remember in middle school, a lot of people would just be like, oh, Kate, like, oh, she's the one with type 1 diabetes. Like, that was very, like, around
the description.
who I was. Yeah. But I mean, I used to think, well, like, that's, to me, that's a good thing. That was like kind of a point of Sugardrop. Like, more people know type 1 is in, like, a lot of people have it. And so, but then I never really would, like, talk about it still, even with, like, my closest friends. And, like, even I did competitive dance growing up. Like, at dance, they knew, like, oh, Kate would have to sit out and do this. But, I wasn't as comfortable talking about what it really looked like for me living with type 1. And then especially at the time, Sugardrop was just very about the early signs of type 1, what type 1, how to manage type 1. So as I got older, really sharing online the rawness of what type 1 looks like, I had my friends ask me, like, how can I support you? What can I do? So that was really special to me. Those friends that would reach out, I was like, well, look, I didn't even think of that really. I just kind of was like, I have it, and that's kind of that. And I was very to like, okay, I can do this on my own. Like, even like my parents, obviously they're always like, can we help you? Can we do this? I was very like, no, I got this. So then I think when I transitioned to university, I met so many people that were very like, oh, I want to learn more about your condition, or how can I support you? What can I do? And many of my friends now have like the Dexcom Share app, so they get my blood sugars to their phone, which is really, really amazing. So they'll text me if I'm low, if I've ate sugar. Like, it's just so sweet. And I think a big one is I became then more comfortable reaching out to my friends that are like non-diabetics, just being like, oh, I'm having this kind of day, and just feeling like even though they don't live with it and they don't understand it, they can be a listening ear and supportive. I think obviously Sugardrop became a really easy way for people around me to know about it, but I still had to feel comfortable and advocate for myself, even in my really close friendships. In high school, I had really, really close friends, but we never talked about me having type 1. So I would still feel like uncomfortable with that and not know how to talk about it. And then I've had friends that I've like known since before I had type 1 that I'm still friends with. So they're very like, they're aware of it, and they learned through my life and being around me so much. So I think it takes specific friendships in your life that are going to be much more open and supportive, and think like, Kate lives with this condition, how can I help her? And I just it took me a lot of confidence to just, if I'm with a friend, like, hey, like for example, if my blood sugar is low, like, hey, like, I just need a second, like, I really don't feel good right now. And then through that, they kind of learn like, oh, like, I didn't know like it affects you that much, or they kind of just learn through that. And then, maybe the next time I hang out with them, they might be like, oh, like, how's your blood sugar today? Like, how are you feeling? And then that kind of builds like a really strong support. And then I just feel more comfortable. But I definitely think it takes like little steps to being more comfortable and sharing what your life really looks like in real life, like when you're with your friends. Because even like I've said, having a whole company and people following me, it still might not be the same when I'm with my friends.
Yeah, and I like how you kind of phrased that too, because even with us, we call it we've done it with our glossary terms, like kind of the follow the leisure exposure, as we say, where they kind of will follow your lead of how you expose them to it, and then they then sort of in return can kind of boost that curiosity and ask questions, because now you've kind of exposed them to different things. They've seen you checking your levels and doing different things. So because you're comfortable in your own space independently with your health, then in return they then might feel comfortable asking. And like you said too, it is that knowing you can have, as we always say, it's like different friend groups for different reasons. Some of your friends might feel super comfortable and confident in, like you said, being on that share app and knowing, checking sugars and being really involved and being helpful for you. And other friends might not be their forte, but it doesn't mean their friendship's any lesser or anything. It's just different friends can do different things, and realizing that you don't have to have one size fits all friendships, especially when you have, like myself, a chronic illness, or for yourself as well, that you can kind of have friends that are beneficial and supportive in different ways for different reasons. Kind of allows you to have a different sense of ease of knowing when to share and not to share, because you know your friends and you know how they interact with your health as well.
Yeah, and I liked how you said, like, when you do the small things around them, it makes them more comfortable to ask. Because I've had so many friends, once I've said something, they're like, oh my God, I've been wanting to ask. And I'm like, and then I open the floor, like, you totally could have asked, and I'm totally free to share. But, because they're the one not living with it, they don't want to say or ask the wrong thing or make me uncomfortable. And I feel like I can completely understand that, because even me living with a chronic illness, when I've had other friends that have a complete different chronic illness, I've even felt like, how do I approach asking them about it? Because I don't want to say something to offend them or hurt their feelings. So I think you, as the person living with it, need to kind of open that door. And then I've felt through my friendships, some people will take that invitation and really ask questions and want to support you, and other friends, like you said, might not be the kind of realm they want to go down in your friendship. But that doesn't change, for me, that doesn't change my friendship with them. Some other people might be like, no, that's a really important aspect in my friendships. For me, I'm like, that's how that friendship's going to be in it, and I'm happy with the friendship. It's not going to change things. And then my friendships where I've had be really supportive are really special, though. That does it makes a deeper connection with them, especially on my part. I don't know, because they're not the one living with it. Maybe not. They're just like, oh, I'm supporting Kate. That's just part of our friendship now. But to me, it's really, really special and important. But again, my friendships where that might not be the case, they're still it's still a lovely friendship, and I'm still so happy to have them in my life.
Yeah, no, I love that. And even kind of final question too, you've had, like you said, you were saying before when we had our prep call, your diabetes anniversary is coming up as well, and same thing with your Sugardrop anniversary would be coming up soon. What is one thing that you would hope in the next set of 8 years would be either another accomplishment for you or for Sugardrop? If you then saw 8 more years into your future, what would that look like?
I haven't thought about this. I'm very if anything, I've been working so much on living in the present. I used to have such I'm like, oh, I'm always worrying about what I'm gonna be doing. I feel like in terms of my diabetes, in the future, I really want to help in diabetes research and being a participant in research, just to help advancements in technology or studies in mental health, or just in any way. I feel like that would be something that I would really love in my personal connection to living with type 1. In terms of Sugardrop, I through like reflecting on the years of running it, I am so grateful for all the connections I've made and opportunities that I've been given. So I just hope that in the future I continue to, in the diabetes community, meet more people and connect with more people. Like you mentioned earlier, in my career, I'm studying communications and I'm minoring in marketing and business. So I really hope to work for a diabetes company in the future. Currently, I work as media coordinator for I Challenge Diabetes, which has been such an amazing opportunity. And I love working for them because the work that I'm doing is also helping people with type 1. So that's really like my biggest goal. Whether I continue doing social media content and raising awareness through Sugardrop, I know that I want my day-to-day job to still be impacting the type 1 community or even people living with chronic conditions or disabilities, because I really care about making an impact in the world and helping people navigate their own journeys.
I love that. That's such a good answer. That is a motivational way to end the episode, Kate. I love that so much. I had an absolute blast getting to have you on the podcast. And for everyone listening, got to the end, this is Kate's first podcast, so we can give her a round of applause for getting to the end of her first podcast interview. And I want to make sure everyone can find you and Sugardrop. So where can people connect with you online and Sugardrop as well?
Well, my Sugardrop shop, where you have all my stories and all my products, is www.sugardrop.ca. And my content, where I share my life with type 1, Instagram is sugardrop_co, and then TikTok is sugardrop.co.
I love that. We're going to have all of those links in our description and show notes, so you can connect with Kate and give her a follow, and then get yourself your own sweatshirt as well. So that would be great. And as always, you can find InvisiYouth on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at InvisiYouth. And our audio podcast is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you can click that subscribe button or leave a positive review, give it a thumbs up or a 5-star. We hear those other stars don't work. All of those things definitely help us so much. And so it really is appreciative. And like I said, Kate, I had so much fun with you being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time too. This was so amazing.
It is, and I am keeping our fingers crossed. There will be many more collabs, and anytime we get Kate on the East Coast in the States, I'm forcing a in-person meetup if you come back onto the East Coast for sure. If I make my way over to Ottawa, I'll see a hockey game, and then I'll come to see you as well.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
I love that. And everybody, as always, I will see you on our next episode. So I will speak with all of you soon. Bye, everybody.